This is coming to you from John Wayne's 26 Bar Ranch in Eager, Arizona.
Howdy partners, welcome to another edition of Chili Bill's Kitchen. Well, today we're going to do something that is almost sacrilegious. Today we're going to be cooking up Chili-Con-Carne Con Frijoles. For those of you that don't speak a little bit of Spanish, that's chili con carne and beans. We're going to be using pinto beans. I'll explain a little bit of this to you as we get a little bit further in. Most of the time, you know, we don't cook chili with beans because that's considered a filler. But we've had so many requests, people have wanted me to cook chili and beans. We're going to go ahead and break our tradition, and today we're going to have chili and beans. We'll be back in just a little while. Don't go away.
Caramba, somebody stole my caballo. Don't I know you from some place?
I'm Chili Bill, and we're doing a man on the range interview. And I would like for you to try some of this.
Smells like chili.
That's Chili Bill's championship chili. You'll find that recipe and many more, and if you like it hot. Town, send for it.
See?
Well, we're back, and I'm chasing these beans I have right here. I wanted to show you a little bit about these beans we're going to be cooking up today. These happen to be what are called pinto beans, and these are raised primarily in the Southwest. Most people don't understand that the pinto bean is the bean that we normally use when we make up our chili and beans. Back east, they use kidney beans, and in California, they use the little pink beans, or the little red beans. We're going to be using the traditional pinto bean of the West. Now these are the reason why they're little speckles on them, little different colors on the bean itself. Now what we're going to do is I've got the beans already cooking here. Now you have to realize that beans take a while to cook. Sometimes 3-4 hours, you know, at least to cook. Now some people also like to soak the beans the night before. And it helps the cooking just a little bit in that it does speed up the cooking. These I didn't soak overnight. I already have them cooking right here. And what we're going to do is I'll find some way to get this off of here. And these beans are already cooking. But so what we're going to do is add the spices and the other ingredients that we have to have in the beans. The first thing we want to put in the beans is some form of pork. Now these, you know, some of the old timers used to use pieces of ham, ham hock. I've been using just plain old bacon for quite a while. It seems to be a little bit easier to get, and it also is a little easier to handle. What we'll do is I'll put in about a quarter of a pound of bacon. Let me just get this cut out here. And what we'll do, I'll cut this up into fine pieces. And, you know, this is strips. These are already cut into strips. So what we're going to do here is I'll just go ahead and cut this into finer pieces. Just cut this up into nice fine pieces like this. This is about, yeah, this is closer to 1/3 of a pound, really. And we don't want the great big hunks in it. Now we want the flavor that we're going to get out of the pork, the bacon, but we don't want great big hunks of meat in it. Now you're going to have the hunks of meat in it, remember, when we add the chili to it later on. Let me get this cut up real quick here, and we'll put that right in with the beans that are already up to a boil. I already have the beans up to a boil, And like I told you before, you know, you have to cook beans. Beans do not get done real fast. We'll go ahead and put this right on in with the beans. There we go. All right, now we've got the pork in, regardless of what you use, you know. Like I say, I like to use the bacon over here. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start getting some of the spices in. And, as always, we use our old standbys, you know, the spices that we use in foods of the Southwest and so forth. We're going to use the comino, or the cumin. I'm going to put in 1 tablespoon of that. 1 tablespoon of the cumin, or comino. And I'm going to put in the oregano. Now remember, you don't like to use quite as much of the oregano. It tastes a little Italian. There's nothing in mind with Italian food, but it does taste like Italian food if you get too much of the comino in. We're going to use 1/2 tablespoon of the oregano. Excuse me. This is the oregano. All right, now let's see what's the next thing that goes in. Is the cilantro. I have to go right over here and get my cilantro. There it is. And we're going to put in the same amount of the cilantro. That's 1/2 of a tablespoon. Now let's see if I've got everything in here. Oh no, I don't have everything. I've got to get some garlic in there real quick. What we're going to do is I'll cut some garlic here. My old grandma used to throw the hide, hair, horns, and all in when she cooked her beans. But I like to take the you know, the outer husk off of the garlic. Just finely mince that garlic up like that. The smaller the better. You know, you don't want to bite into a great big hunk of garlic. I'm going to put 1 more of them in. 2 will be nice and pungent. Here we go. Now let me get this, peel this off. Now, one of the little tricks that you can use with the garlic, I'm not doing it today and I should have done it. You can soak the garlic before you cut it in a little bit of water. It softens up the outside and it comes right off. You don't have to worry about trying to get the husk off like I was doing there with my thumbnail. Now let me put this in, and this is going to start really getting some smell going in here in the kitchen. There we go. There we go. Now, we just stir that up, and all we're going to do then is to put the lid on it, and we're going to cook this for, about 4 hours on low heat. On low heat, and as again, we've cheated. I have some already cooked up, because naturally you can't cook beans for 4 hours on a half-hour show. Now, what we're going to do, I guess I better get my beans back in there that I took out to show you. There we go. Now we're going to start cooking up the chili. Now in the chili, we're going to need, the first thing we're going to have, of course, is the meat. And we're going to use 2 types of meat today. And I'm going to go over here to the refrigerator, get the meat. And let's see. Here we go. We have the good old standby round steak. And we have a good cut of ground beef. I don't like to use too cheap of the ground beef because it's so fat that when your chili cooks up, what happens is you end up with about 1 inch of fat up on top of your chili. And then when we get through with all of this, I'm going to show you how to mix it together at the end of the show. All right. First of all, what we're going to do, got to get a little bit of oil. This is just plain old oil. Put just about 2 tablespoons of oil in the bottom, so it won't stick while you're browning the meat. Here we go. I've got her up on high now. And we'll start adding some of this meat first here. No, I'm going to hold off. I'm going to do this meat first. I'm going to cut this meat for you. And as you've seen the shows before, you know I like to use the cut of round steak. There's from my puppy dog. Because it has such a good flavor, and it's not quite as fat after you trim it as some of the other meats. You have to spend a lot of time trimming the other meat. Let me get this out of the way here. There we go. Put that over. I missed. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to cut a little bit of this fat off. We'll just cut some fat off of this. Some people like to leave a little bit of fat in, but I have to watch my la panza, so I kind of like to get rid of the biggest part of the fat. And then, of course, you'll always want to try to take off part of the gristle while you're there also. And then let me get a little bit more of this, and then I'll show you how to strip the meat. Let's get that off there. This here. All right. Whoops, there's a great big hunk of fat there. Now, of course, you can always save that and make soap. You don't believe that, huh? Well, my old grandma used to make soap out of it. You know, they'd render it down and then make soap. I don't know how she made it. It is in my cookbook, though, because she let me have her recipe for soap. All right, here we go. I'm going to cut this meat up into strips. Now, we're going to make these strips about a ½ inch wide. Now, this round steak has been run through the tenderizer. I had the gal run it through the tenderizer. It makes it much easier to cook. You don't have to cook it quite as long. You know, round steak is not the tenderest of all the meats. So if you make this, have them run it through the tenderizer for you. You'll be a lot more happy with the chili. Let me get this one here, and we're going to have to take a little break in a minute. But let me get this cut up for you here. Now, when these hunks of meat are about the size, of a sugar cube. Just about the size of a sugar cube. Okay, here we go. I've just about got half of this chopped up, and I can do the rest during the break. Here we go. All right, we've got that just about right. Here's a piece of fat. Well, we're going to take that break. We'll be back, in a little while here after we make the sponsors happy. Don't go away.
When they rode into town, folks tried to gun them down, but the gunfighters always were prepared. They survived by their speed. Killing first became the creed, but the gunfighters' code was holsters.
Howdy, partners. This is your old friend Chili Bill with my good buddies here, Juan Baracho and George Gabby Hayes Jr., who just took those falls for you a minute ago, telling you that no Hollywood magic is in this. Western know-how that makes Chili Bill's chili, the authentic, bring-you-back-to-life bowl of red made with lean beef and my own championship chili blend. A real palate pleaser. Why don't you give it a try? Well, let's see. I guess I better eat. Oh, there's only one bowl here?
Get your copy of If You Like It Hot today and start cooking up all those great foods of the Southwest.
Well, we're back, and I'm getting ready to put an onion in here right now. We're just going to take the peel off of this onion. You know, this onion, this time I left it too long. I actually froze the darn thing this time. I hope I can cut it. There were a few things that I forgot to tell you on the last segment, I think. We had 4 pounds of meat total here that we are browning right now. We had the 2 pounds of the ground beef, and we had the 2 pounds of the tenderized round steak. Now on the beans, we put 1 pound of beans in. Now 1 pound of beans goes a long way. We won't be using a whole 1 pound of beans. It does go a long way. Anyhow, I think I've gotten you up to date on that now. Let me chop up this onion real quick here. Oh, that is frozen solid. Well, how about that? Frozen onion. What I'm going to do is chop this up the best I can right now because it looks like I've goofed just a little bit here on this onion. There we go. Well, it's going to cut all right. There we go. Now I'm just going to go ahead and mince this onion on up. Just mince it up good. It cuts pretty good that way. There we go. Let me mince that onion up a little bit. We don't want too big of hunks of onion in this. We've got to hurry a little bit because we've got a long way to go yet on this. Let me get the, oops, there's a piece there. There we go. If I don't end up cutting my finger good. There, we've just about got that minced up enough now. You need this fairly fine. If we had a little more time, I would really mince it up very fine. Okay, here we go. The onions go into the chili pot. I've moved the chili pot up here up front, and I've moved the beans to the rear back here. And the beans are cooking right along. And we'll get that in there. There's our, we've got our onions in now, our minced onions. Now we're going to start putting in the other ingredients. First we're going to do is I'm going to get a little bit of moisture in here, and I've got 20 ounces of meat broth. Now this happens to be meat broth that I made up myself, but you know, you can use canned meat broth if you want to take a shortcut. What we're going to do is we'll just put in the 20 ounces of the meat broth. There we go. And that is going to be your liquid that you're going to be using. Some people like to use water, but I kind of prefer the meat broth. It gives you a much better flavor. Now, we're going to start putting in some of the spices and condiments. First of all, we're going to put in some garlic salt. Now, this is a double batch of chili. Normally the batch of chili would be 2 pounds. We're making a double batch today of chili. Now, in contest cooking, where you're just making chili con carne, you make 6 pounds. That's what you'd have to make 1 gallon of chili. We're going to put in 1 tablespoon of garlic salt. Garlic salt. All right. Now, some people want to, you know, cut back on the salt if you're on those salt-free diets, but you've got a lot of salting to do. We're going to have an awful lot of volume here. All right. The next thing we do is I'm going to put in the coriander this time, or the cilantro. This happens to be the powdered. And I'm going to put in 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon per batch. Per batch. That means I have to put in 2. 1, 2. Okay. Now the next thing we put in is I'm going to put the comino in, or cumin. And this time you double up. Remember, you're going to double this up. So we're going to put in 1 tablespoon. Remember, it takes 3 teaspoons to make 1 tablespoon. Here we go. We'll put in the 1 tablespoon of comino. Now we go back over to our good old oregano, as the Galloping Gourmet used to say, or oregano. And we're going to put in 1 teaspoon of that. Oregano. 1 teaspoon of oregano. Okay. Now that's the basic spices. Now we have a few other things we have to add to it that some people don't really understand about making good chili. This happens to be paprika. Now the reason why you put the paprika in, remember paprika is a chili, but it doesn't have all that fire. It's very, very mild and bland. But it has the color. It has the color. So I'm going to put in 1 great big old heaping tablespoon of paprika. And that gives it the color. It gives it a brilliant red color instead of that brownish look that you end up with. Now, the next thing we do is I'm going to put in plain old tomato sauce. This is just the everyday brand of tomato sauce. Now, this happens to be, let's see, what did we say it was? 15 ounces. Yeah, that's the 2 small cans. And it'll make, because remember, we're using 1 small can for each batch. And we're making 2 batches today. So we need 15 ounces or 16 ounces of the tomato sauce. All right, boy, that thing's clicking right around along there, my beans. Ooh, that does smell good in there. All that garlic and all that good stuff in there. All right, now, the next thing we're going to do here is to, let me see if I've got everything first. Oh, yep. Well, we almost forgot everything, didn't we? Chili. Well, you remember that this is my own chili mix here. I keep this mixed up, and it already has all the other spices and so forth in it. But remember, there are several real good brands of chili powder, commercial chili powders that have the spices and so forth in them. So what you can do is, if you don't have mine, you can always buy the chili mixes in any of the big supermarkets. We have 2 batches here. Now we're going to put 2 3/4 cups. 3/4 cups for each batch. And we're going to go ahead and put that in just like this. There's one. Seems like a lot, doesn't it? And we've got two. There we go. Now, if you'll remember from some of the other programs when we cooked plain chili con carne, that this already has the thickening in it, which is mozzarella. Now, if you're making this at home, of course, what you can do is you can mix up some mozzarella or a little bit of cornstarch or flour to make your thickening. I think I have just about everything in here now. Let's see. Yeah, let me check over here. We've got one other thing to do, but I'm going to do that at the end when we get through. Let me bring the heat back up on this one right here. Now, remember, we're not cooking the traditional chili con carne today. We're kind of adding to it. And that we're adding the beans to it. And the reason why we're adding the beans, let me explain a little bit of that. In the old days, they only made chili con carne, but it's very expensive to make. This is not inexpensive to make, chili con carne. So, down in Texas, where the old Mexicans used to make this, they used to use the beans as the filler. Now, the reason why they did that, the beans were cheap, and they always had the beans because they were cooking it for other types of foods. So, we're adding a filler. If you were cooking competition chili or in a chili contest, you wouldn't be doing this. But I like it myself, and most of the people that eat chili like chili and beans. But remember, it's Chili-Con-Carne Con Frijoles, or chili and beans. It isn't plain chili con carne. All right, now, we've got a couple of other things that we have to do here to finish this off. We've got, like I told you, I'm cooking beans here, but I've already cheated just a little bit. And we have 1 quart of cooked beans right here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to assume that we've already cooked our chili long enough, which we have not. We need to get at least, a couple hours on this chili. In chili cook-offs, it's 3 to 4 hours that you cook it. But we can't wait that long. We have to add it right now. And then what we'll do is we'll cook it a little bit during the break. Let me add these cooked frijoles that I did up yesterday right here. Now what I'll do is I'll just put those in. Remember, this is 1 quart of frijoles, or remember the pinto beans that we're cooking here on the back burner. And I'm sure I'll figure out something that we can do with these beans that I'm cooking on the back burner. There's 1 quart of the beans. Now we have chili con carne con frijoles. And if everything goes right and we get this cooked up real quick here, we'll be back in about a minute or so, and we're going to try some of this. Don't go away. It smells good.
Caramba, somebody stole my caballo.
Nobody stole your caballo, Tomato. He took off and became a lawyer after tasting Chili Bill's famous championship chili.
Don't I know you from someplace?
I'm Chili Bill, and we're doing a man-on-the-range interview to find out how many of you good folks out there like your chili hot and spicy. That's the way I like mine. Plenty of hot stuff in it to keep my mustachio curled. Here, Tomato, try some of this and become a lawyer, too.
Smells like chili.
Hey, you're getting smarter already, Tomato.
Good chili.
Of course it's good. It's Chili Bill's chili, and those of you who like it hot and spicy can enjoy all those good recipes you've seen Chili Bill and his guests cook on Chili Bill's Kitchen Show by going to your local trading post or bookstore and picking up a copy of his famous recipe book, If You Like It Hot.
See?
This is what happens if you put too much beans in your chili. One of the funniest scenes in filmmaking history, Mel Brooks's Blazing Saddles.
cheap. How about some more beans, Mr. Taggart? I'd say you've had them.
Carl, are you ready to try this?
Well, what do you do with this thing?
You don't eat chili with a fork? Hey, listen, Carl. This is Carl Sobley. He's our video man, and he smelled me cooking chili. So Carl wasn't about ready to stay in that control room while we were all eating chili out here. So we drug old Carl out here so he could eat some of the chili with us. Carl, what?
You're not sure you're going to leave me back there with this all you want to do?
Well, I want to see how you do with that fork.
Well,
that's the only spoon I got.
That's a lot better than my pocket knife.
Okay. Here, we got some tortillas for you, too.
Oh, boy.
All right, there you go. Let's give this a little try here. Now, just remember, this is not your traditional chili con carne. This is chili con carne con frijoles, okay? And there is a difference. So you guys out there that could competition, don't get all uptight with me. This is pretty good stuff, too. Carl, you going to give it a little bit of try with that fork? See if you can get the fork to stand up in the middle of it for you, Carl. Get it stand up? Yeah, that looks pretty good. You going to make it with a fork? Okay.
Does it?
All right. Folks, we've had a good time today, and this is this is a good recipe. Give it a try. I'm going to give it some. We'll see you next time. Adios.